Ooh, black card, nice.
French fries, please. Large.
Your name is Adiola, right?
Yes, that's right.
Got it. Here are your sauces, beautiful.
Thanks. Can I have your number as well?
Depends.
Adeola Okonkwo had a black card with no limit, a driver named Mr. Park who had been with her family for 11 years, a wardrobe that required its own room in the family's Seoul penthouse, and, as of this particular Tuesday morning, a very serious craving for McDonald's French fries that she was not going to apologize for. "Mr. Park," she said from the back seat of the Mercedes, "McDonald's." Mr. Park, who had driven Adeola's father to board meetings and Adeola's mother to charity galas and Adeola herself to every exclusive establishment Seoul had to offer, adjusted the rear-view mirror with the dignified expression of a man who had not become the Okonkwo family driver in order to pull up to a drive-through window, but who was also very aware that the Okonkwo family paid him extremely well. "Which location, Miss Adeola?" "The one in Hongdae," she said. "I want to go inside. I've never been inside a McDonald's." Mr. Park's expression in the rear-view mirror did something complicated. "You have never—" "My mother didn't allow it. She said fast food was for people who didn't respect their bodies. But I am 22 years old and in Seoul, and my mother is in Lagos, and I would like French fries, Mr. Park, please." Mr. Park pulled up outside the Hongdae McDonald's, and Adeola stepped out in a cream silk blouse and tailored wide-legged camel trousers and her grandmother's gold earrings and looked at the restaurant the way an explorer looks at a new continent. She walked in. The first thing she noticed was the smell, warm and slightly guilty, and exactly what she had been imagining. The second thing she noticed was the noise, cheerful and chaotic and full of students and couples and people who had simply wanted lunch without ceremony. The third thing she noticed was the boy behind the counter. He was Korean, mid-20s, with the kind of face that was genuinely handsome in the specific way of people who are not aware of it. Clean features, dark eyes, a jaw that was either naturally good or the result of having eaten very little processed food, which, given his workplace, was either ironic or aspirational. His black hair was slightly too long for the uniform cap he was wearing, which meant the cap sat on top of the hair rather than over it, which should have looked ridiculous, but somehow did not. He was wearing the standard McDonald's uniform with the specific energy of someone who had made a private decision to wear it like a three-piece suit, upright, efficient, cheerful in the particular way of someone who had chosen cheerfulness as a philosophy rather than a performance. He looked up when she approached the counter, and his expression did the thing that expressions do when they encounter something unexpected, a brief reorganization, quickly managed. "Hi," he said, in English, which she appreciated because her Korean was functional but not fluent, and she was wearing a cream silk blouse in a McDonald's, and he had apparently done the math. "Welcome, what can I get you?" She looked at the menu board above him. She had done zero research for this outing because she had bought it on impulse, and she now realized she had no idea what to order. "I want French fries," she said. "Large, medium, or small?" "What's the difference?" she said. He looked at her. "The size," he said, "of the fries." "Right, large, obviously." "Anything else?" She looked at the menu. "What do you recommend?" He blinked. "I work here," he said. "I'm not sure I'm the most objective source." "That's exactly why I'm asking you. You've tried everything. You have data." He looked at her for a moment with an expression she could not entirely decode, somewhere between amusement and the specific look of someone encountering a conversational direction they had not anticipated on a Tuesday. "The McSpicy, if you like heat. The Filet-O-Fish, if you don't. The soft serve is underrated, Everyone overlooks the soft serve. McSpicy and large fries and a soft serve, please. He punched it in. He told her the total. She handed him her black card. He looked at the black card. He looked at her cream silk blouse. He looked at the Hongdae McDonald's around them, with its plastic chairs and its sticky tables and its ambient soundtrack of a family with 3 children at table 6 having a disagreement about nuggets. He processed the card without comment. This, she thought, was the correct response. Name, he said, pen over the receipt. Adela, she said. He looked up from the receipt. How do you spell that? Adeola, she said. He wrote it. He looked at what he had written. What does it mean? He asked. She looked at him. Counterstaff at establishments she typically frequented did not ask what her name meant. Counterstaff at establishments she typically frequented said, "Have a wonderful day, Miss Okonkwo," and handed her things on trays that cost more than this boy's monthly salary. Crown fits the wealthy. He looked at her name on the receipt. He looked at her cream silk blouse. Accurate, he said, and handed her the receipt without any additional comment. She went to find a table. The McSpicy was extraordinary. She was going to have a conversation with her mother about the 18 years of deprivation. The fries were everything she had been imagining, and some things she hadn't. The soft serve was, as advertised, deeply underrated. She was halfway through the fries when he appeared at her table with a small paper bag. "You forgot your dipping sauce," he said. He set down 3 packets of different sauces with the efficient confidence of someone who has learned that people who don't know what they want usually want options. "I didn't ask for dipping sauce," she said. "I know," he said. "First-timers usually need it." He looked at the McSpicy. "How is it?" "It's the best thing I've eaten this week," she said. "Possibly this month." He looked like he was trying not to look pleased about this. He did not entirely succeed. "It's good, right?" he said. "People sleep on it." "What's your name?" she said. "Kim Hyun-woo," he said. "I need to get back." "Kim Hyun-woo," she said, testing the shape of it. "Thank you for the sauce." "Enjoy your first McDonald's," he said, and went back to the counter. She looked at the 3 packets of dipping sauce. She looked at the counter where he had returned to his station and was already dealing with the next customer with the same upright, efficient cheerfulness. She looked at the soft serve. She thought, well, she stayed for 45 minutes, which was considerably longer than she had planned. She came back on Thursday. She told herself this was because the McSpicy was genuinely very good and she was a woman who honored excellent food. She did not examine this claim with any rigor. He was behind the counter. He saw her come in. Something moved through his expression. Brief, managed, the specific reorganization of someone who had not expected to see a thing and is pretending they had. "Large fries," he said before she reached the counter, "and a McSpicy. And a soft serve." "You remembered," she said. "It's my job to remember," he said, which was technically true and also possibly not the full explanation. She paid. She went to the same table. The dipping sauce appeared without being requested. This time she stayed for an hour. On the way out, she stopped at the counter. "Hyun-woo," she said. He looked up. "Yes?" "The soft serve," she said. "You were right. It's exceptional." "I know," he said. "How do you know so much about this menu?" she said. "I've been here for 8 months. I have tried everything, multiple times, in the interest of comprehensive knowledge." 8 months, she said. "Is this—" She stopped. She was about to ask if this was a temporary job and caught herself, because that was a rude question and she had been raised better than that. "Gap year," he said, without her asking. "My parents—" He stopped. He adjusted the cap that sat on top of rather than over his too long hair. "I want to study music composition. The program I want is expensive. My parents don't have—" He stopped again. "So I'm saving." She looked at him. at the uniform and the cap and the upright, careful way he was explaining a personal financial situation to a stranger in a McDonald's with the specific dignity of someone who had decided that dignity was not location dependent. "How long?" she said. "Another year, maybe 14 months. "That's a long time," she said. "Music composition programs don't get cheaper," he said. "I've checked." She looked at him for a moment. "Good luck with it," she said, and meant it entirely. "Thank you," he said. "See you Saturday." She looked at him. "I didn't say I was coming Saturday." "No," he said. The expression that was not quite a smile. "But the fries will be here." She left. She sat in the back of the Mercedes while Mr. Park navigated Hongdae traffic and thought about a boy saving for 14 months to study something he loved and whether that was admirable or insane, and decided it was both, and that both was the right combination. "Mr. Park," she said. "Miss Adiola, I'm going back Saturday." Mr. Park adjusted the rear-view mirror. "Of course," he said, with the tone of a man who had driven this family for 11 years and had developed in that time an accurate read of certain situations. She went back Saturday, and the Saturday after that, and the Tuesday in between, which she did not plan. By the third week, she had learned the following things about Kim Hyun-woo. He was 23, which was 1 year older than her. He had grown up in Incheon, the second of 3 sons in a household that was warm and close and had very little money and did not appear to have suffered particularly for it. He played guitar. He had a cheap one in his studio apartment that he played after shifts and was teaching himself music theory from YouTube videos because he couldn't afford formal lessons yet. He was funny in the dry, specific way of people who find the world genuinely amusing, but don't need other people to be as amused as they are. He had very strong opinions about soft serve that were, she was discovering, entirely justified. She had told him the following things about herself: that her father ran one of the largest infrastructure development companies in West Africa, that she was in Seoul studying international business because her father thought international experience was important, and Seoul was his preferred location for reasons involving a business partner, that she had grown up in Lagos and Abuja and London and had been to 17 countries, and none of them had contained a McDonald's she had been permitted to enter until 3 weeks ago, that her name meant Crown Fits the Wealthy, which had always felt like a large amount of pressure to put on a name. "Do you live up to it?" he asked one Tuesday, from across the table where he was on his break, eating a burger he had clearly made a private peace with long ago. "The name?" she said. "Probably not. I'm reasonably wealthy, and I don't do anything particularly crown-worthy. I come to McDonald's." "That's very crown-worthy," he said. "The crown comes to the fries. The fries don't go to the crown." She laughed. She laughed the way which her mother would have described as unladylike, and which Hyun-woo appeared to find entirely acceptable as a sound to make in a restaurant. "You're funny," she said. "I know," he said. "It doesn't pay well." He ate his burger. "Yet," he added, as a philosophical position. The complication arrived in the 4th week, in the form of her father. Adeola had made a tactical error. She had told her friend Zainab about the McDonald's visits, and Zainab's mother had told Zainab's mother in Lagos during their weekly calls, and Adeola's mother had told Adeola in Lagos, and Adeola's father, who was in Seoul that week for the business meetings that were the reason she was in Seoul to begin with, had arrived at the penthouse with the specific expression of a man who had been told his daughter had been spending her afternoons in a fast food restaurant in Hongdae. "Adeola," her father said. "Papa," she said. "McDonald's," he said. "The McSpicy is genuinely excellent. I don't understand why you and Mama kept this from me for 18 years. It's a human rights issue." Her father looked at her. Chief Emmanuel Okonkwo was 61 years old, built like someone who had carried significant things for a long time and had not stopped, with the specific gravity of a man whose company employed 11,000 people and had opinions. He was also, beneath the gravity, a man who had raised this particular daughter and knew her reasonably well. Your mother says you've been going 3 times a week, she said. The fries are consistent. I appreciate consistency. Is it just the fries? He said. She looked at her father. He looked at her. They had known each other for 22 years, and the look between them contained most of that. I've met someone, she said. He works there. He's saving to study music. He's kind and funny, and he has very strong opinions about soft serve, and he treats me like a person, Papa, not like your daughter or a black card or an Okonkwo, like Areola. Her father was quiet for a moment. Crown fits the wealthy, she said. Yes. Your grandmother named you that because she said wealth was in the character, not in the account. She looked at him. I know. You've told me. Bring him to dinner, her father said. She stared at him. Papa. Bring him to dinner. I want to meet the boy who has my daughter going to McDonald's 3 times a week. He must be doing something right. She did not tell Hyun-woo about the dinner invitation immediately. She told him on a Thursday, which was her 5th visit, when he was on break and she was on her 2nd large fries, and she said it quickly and then ate a fry while watching his expression process the information. Your father, he said. Yes, Chief Emmanuel Okonkwo. He had, she realized, looked her up, which meant he had looked her up, which meant he knew considerably more about the Okonkwo family than he had let on over 4 weeks of break-time conversations. You know who he is? She said. I Googled you after the 2nd visit. The black card and the silk blouse were… I was curious. He was quiet for a moment. I should have told you I knew. I didn't because I didn't want the knowing to change anything. Did it change anything? She said. It made me slightly more nervous, which is different from changing something. You don't seem nervous, she said. I'm excellent at not seeming things. It's a skill I've developed working customer service for 8 months. She looked at him. He looked at her. The McDonald's moved around them in its usual cheerful chaos. The dinner is Friday, she said, at the penthouse. It's not formal. My father is… He's not what you're expecting. He grew up with less than you have. He built everything himself. He's not going to make you feel small. You've thought about it, he said. I've thought about it. Areola, he said. He said her name differently from how most people said it, not the shortened Ada that her school friends had used, not the formal Miss Okonkwo of business contexts, the whole name, the right syllables, like he had learned it specifically, which she realized he probably had. Yes, she said. I work Friday evening, he said. My shift ends at 8. Dinner is at 8:30, she said. I told you it wasn't formal. I meant it. He was quiet for a moment. He adjusted the cap on his too long hair. Okay, he said. Okay. I'm going to be nervous, he said. I know. I'm telling you in advance so you're not surprised. I appreciate the advance notice. I'm also going to bring something. You don't show up to someone's home for the first time without bringing something. My mother taught me that. You don't have to. My mother taught me that, he said as a complete sentence that ended the discussion. She went home and told Mr. Park that we had a dinner guest on Friday, and Mr. Park said, of course, Miss Areola, with the tone of a man who had been right about certain things. Friday arrived. At 8:25, the penthouse doorbell rang. Areola opened the door. Hyun-woo was standing in the doorway in dark trousers and a white button-down shirt that was clearly the nicest thing he owned, pressed with the care of someone who had pressed it twice to make sure it was right. His hair was down without the McDonald's cap for the first time she had seen him, and it was, she noted, exactly as good without the cap as she had suspected it was going to be. He was holding 2 things, a small box of what appeared to be very good chocolates and a bouquet of flowers. Not expensive flowers, not the elaborate arrangements that arrived at the penthouse from business associates and family friends in elaborate wrapping. Small yellow flowers, freesias, she realized, bundled in simple brown caper with a piece of string, the kind you buy from the market stall on the corner, chosen with care rather than budget. She looked at the flowers. She looked at him. He looked at the penthouse behind her, the view of Seoul at night through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the artwork, the specific quality of a space that had been designed to communicate a certain understanding of the world. And then he looked back at her and said, with the specific dry humor that was simply how he was, "I should have brought more flowers." She laughed. "Come in," she said. He came in. He extended the flowers. "These are freesias, which mean trust," which seemed appropriate given the circumstances. Also, the flower stall lady said they were the happiest flowers she had, and I thought, your name, crown fits the wealthy. The wealthy should have happy flowers. She took the flowers. She held them and looked at them and thought about a boy who Googled the meaning of flowers for a dinner he was nervous about after an 8-hour shift in a McDonald's uniform and felt something she was going to need to examine at length. "Thank you," she said. "You're welcome," he said. "Your apartment is very large." "I know. I'm sorry." "Don't apologize for your apartment," he said. "It's not your fault it's large. These things happen." Her father appeared from the dining room.
Chief Emmanuel Okonkwo shook Kim Hyun-woo's hand with the full grip of a man who had shaken the hands of presidents and CEOs and had opinions about handshakes. He looked at the young man in the carefully pressed white shirt. He looked at the freesias in his daughter's hands. He did the specific rapid assessment of a man who had built a company by reading people accurately. "Hyun-woo," he said, "come and sit. I want to hear about the music composition program." Hyun-woo looked briefly at Adeola, who gave him a small nod that said, "My father is actually fine, I promise," and followed Chief Okonkwo to the dining room. Adeola put the freesias in water and stood at the kitchen counter for a moment, looking at the small yellow flowers in the glass, and thought, "My father is going to ask him 11,000 questions, and he is going to answer all of them, and it is going to be completely fine." She was right. It was better than fine. Her father, who had grown up in a 2-room house in Enugu with 6 siblings and had put himself through university working nights at a petrol station, had approximately 11,000 questions about Hyun-woo's situation, and Hyun-woo answered all of them with the honest, direct manner of someone who decided dignity was not location-dependent and had not revised this decision for dinner at a penthouse. He talked about the music program and the timeline and the YouTube theory videos and the cheap guitar in the studio apartment, and her father listened with the full attention of a man who recognized a particular kind of person and was running a private calculation. Over dessert, her father had unexpectedly ordered from a Nigerian restaurant which had arrived in containers that smelled like home, and which Hyun-woo ate with the focused appreciation of someone taking something seriously. Her father said, "The program, the music composition one, how much is the first year?" Hyun-woo told him. Her father nodded. He looked at his dessert. He looked at Hyun-woo. "I'm not going to offer you money," he said, "so don't worry about that." "I wasn't worried," Hyun-woo said. "Good," her father said, "because I'm going to offer you something else. My company has a partnership with a cultural foundation in Seoul that funds arts education. They have a grant program. It's competitive, but not impossible." He picked up his phone and sent something. "I've sent you the link. The deadline is in 6 weeks. Adeola will help you with the application. She's a better writer than she admits." Adeola looked at her father. "Papa." "It's a grant," her father said. "He earns it or he doesn't. I'm just telling him it exists." He looked at Hyun-woo. "You didn't know it existed?" "No," Hyun-woo said. "Now you do," her father said. "More jolo fries?" They walked after dinner, her idea, because the Seoul night was doing its thing, and she wanted air, through the Mapo streets that were busy even at 10 in the evening, the city going about its usual luminous business. "Your father," Hyun-woo said. "I know," she said.
He's not what I expected. I told you, she said. You told me. I didn't fully believe you. I've been nervous for 48 hours. I know, she said. You told me in advance. I appreciate that you took it seriously, he said. They walked. The Seoul night moved around them. The grant, he said. It's real, she said. I looked it up when he mentioned it. The foundation is legitimate. The grant covers full first-year tuition. He was quiet for a moment. Why is he doing this? Because you brought freesias, she said, and because you told the truth about everything, and you looked him in the eye, and you ate the jolo fries properly. My father has a system. You passed the system. What's the system? He said. I've never been able to figure it out completely, she said. I think it involves the handshake and the food, and whether you apologize for things that aren't your fault. I didn't apologize for my apartment. You don't have an apartment. You have a studio. I didn't apologize for the studio. That was probably the right call, she said. They walked past a flower stall, closed now, the displays covered for the night, and he paused and looked at it, and then at her. The freesias, he said. I almost didn't bring them. I thought, she lives in a penthouse. Flowers from a market stall are... He stopped. I almost bought nothing, and then I thought that was worse. Then I almost bought expensive ones from the hotel florist, and then I thought that was wrong too. So I went to the market stall, and I told the woman my situation, and she picked these. She looked at him. The market stall woman picked them? He said. She said trust was the right word for a first dinner. She seemed very certain about it. She was right, Adiola said. He looked at her in the Seoul night with the city doing its gold and busy thing around them. He looked at her the way he had looked at her from behind the McDonald's counter on the first day, the brief reorganization, the management of it, except now it was not managed at all. Adiola, he said. Yes, she said. Crown fits the wealthy, he said. So I've been told, she said. I've been thinking about it, he said, since the first day you told me. Your grandmother named you for what wealth really was. He looked at her steadily. You walked into a McDonald's in a silk blouse and asked a counter employee what he recommended, like his opinion was worth having. You came back. You sat at the same table. You listened when I talked about the guitar and the YouTube videos and the 14 months of saving without once looking at me like the saving was sad. He paused. That's the crown. That's the thing your grandmother meant. The Seoul street was moving around them, students and couples and people walking dogs, and the distant sound of a busker somewhere doing something optimistic with a guitar. And Kim Hyun-woo was standing on the pavement in his carefully pressed white shirt, having just said the most precise thing anyone had said to her in recent memory. And she thought about the freesias in the glass on the kitchen counter, and the dinner, and her father's phone call to the foundation, and the 8 months of shifts, and the YouTube music theory videos, and the cheap guitar in the studio apartment. She took his hand. He looked at their hands. He looked at her. I'm going to apply for the grant, he said. I know, she said. I'm going to help you. You're good at writing, he said. Your father said. My father talks too much, she said. He talks exactly the right amount, he said. I like him. He likes you too, she said. He ordered jollof rice. He only orders jollof rice for people he intends to see again. He absorbed this. He looked at their hands. He looked at the Seoul night. Adiola, he said. Hyunwoo, she said. I'm going to be honest with you, which is that I don't know how to do this. The version of this where you live in that penthouse and I live in a studio in Mapo, and your father runs a company that employs 11,000 people. I don't have a system for how this works. Neither do I, she said. That's not reassuring, he said. No, but I came back on Thursday, and then on the Tuesday in between, and I came back on every Saturday. I don't do things I don't want to do, Hyunwoo. I'm the daughter of Chief Emmanuel Okonkwo. I have been trained since birth to know what I want and go after it. He looked at her. Is that what this is? he said. I wanted large fries, she said. I got large fries. I wanted to come back. I came back. I want... She stopped. She looked at the Seoul night. I want to help you write the grant application. I want to hear the guitar when it's not a YouTube tutorial anymore. I want to come back to the McDonald's on Tuesdays because the fries are genuinely excellent, and also because you're there. She looked at him. That's what this is. He was quiet for a moment. The busker somewhere in the distance had found something good and was staying with it. Okay, he said. Okay, she said. I'm still going to be nervous sometimes, he said. I know, she said. I appreciate the advance notice. He laughed, warm and unannounced. She felt it the same way she always did, like something that landed and stayed. They walked home through Seoul at 10 in the evening, with the city brilliant and indifferent around them, and their hands still together, and the freesias were in a glass on the kitchen counter, and her father was in the dining room reading something on his phone, with the quiet expression of a man who was right about something and was not going to say so. And somewhere in Mapo, a cheap guitar was waiting to become something more than it currently was. 6 weeks later, Kim Hyun-woo submitted the grant application. Adiola had helped him write every word of it, which had involved 3 evenings at the penthouse kitchen table and 1 long Saturday at the McDonald's on his break, and a voice note she had sent at midnight on a Wednesday that was 7 minutes long and contained her complete thoughts on the personal statement's 3rd paragraph. He had read her notes. He had used most of them. He had pushed back on the ones he disagreed with, which she had found completely reasonable and somewhat attractive, and they had argued about the 3rd paragraph for 45 minutes before arriving at a version that was better than either of their original positions. Her father, who had not asked about the application and had not offered any further assistance, called her on the day of the submission deadline and said only, "Did he submit?" "Today," she said. "Good." And her father returned to his other calls.
The grant notification came on a Tuesday. She was at the McDonald's. Of course, she was at the McDonald's. She had been going 3 times a week for 2 months and had developed opinions about the menu that she was not prepared to revise. When his break started, and he came to the table and sat down across from her and put his phone on the table between them. On the screen, an email from the Cultural Foundation. She looked at it. She looked at him. "Did you read it?" she said. "I read the first line," he said. "I stopped. I wanted to read the rest with you." She looked at him across the table, at the McDonald's cap on top of the too long hair, and the uniform, and the counter behind him, where he had been standing for 8 months with the upright, efficient dignity of someone who had decided that dignity was not location-dependent. "Read it," she said. He picked up the phone. He read it. His expression did the thing it did when it was not being managed, the brief, unguarded version, the one she had learned was the real one. He looked up. "Full first-year tuition," he said, "and a stipend." She looked at him. "I got in," he said. She got up from her chair and she went around the table and she hugged him, in the middle of the McDonald's in Hongdae on a Tuesday at noon, with the students and the families and the ambient soundtrack of the nugget disagreement table and the smell of French fries and the fluorescent lighting and all of it. And he hugged her back, with the specific force of someone who has been working towards something for 8 months and has arrived. "Hyun-woo," she said into his shoulder. "Yes," he said. "I told you," she said. "You told me," he said. "Your personal statement was excellent," she said. "You helped," he said. "I made notes," she said. "You wrote it." He pulled back enough to look at her, the cap, the uniform, the dark eyes that were bright in the McDonald's fluorescent light. "Thank you," he said, "for the notes and the Tuesday visits and the 3rd paragraph argument and for telling your father about the 14 months. My father found the grant himself," she said. "He just told you it existed." "I know. That's the thing about your father. He doesn't do things for you. He shows you where the door is and then watches to see if you'll open it." She looked at him. "That's exactly what he does," she said. "I've never been able to describe it. That's exactly it." "I pay attention," he said. "I know," she said. Behind them, the McDonald's counter called his name. His break was ending. "Large fries," he said, standing up, "to celebrate, on me." "You work here," she said. "You can't buy me fries." "I get a discount," he said. "I'm buying you celebratory discounted fries, and you're going to eat them." "That's very romantic," she said. "It's what I have," he said, and went back to the counter. And she sat back down and looked at the emails still open on the table and thought, it's more than enough. It's exactly enough. It has always been exactly enough. The fries arrived. They were large. They were excellent. They were celebratory. She ate every single one. 3 months after that, Kim Hyun-woo started his first semester at the music composition program. He gave his notice at the McDonald's on a Friday, 2 weeks properly because this was Kim Hyun-woo, and this was how he did things. And on his last day, the staff made him a small cake that had a music note on it in frosting, and the manager, who had watched him show up on time for 8 months and deal with everything the job contained with the specific dignity of someone who had decided dignity was not location dependent, shook his hand and told him he was the best customer service employee they had ever had, which was the nicest thing anyone said at the party, and which Hyun-woo took with the same quiet seriousness with which he took everything. Adiola was there for the last shift. She sat at the same table, the one she had always used, the one that had become hers by repetition rather than assignment, and she ate large fries and an McSpicy and the soft serve that remained deeply underrated, and she watched him work his last shift with the same upright, efficient cheerfulness he had brought to the first one. When the shift ended, he came to her table and sat across from her. "Last fries," he said. "You can still come here," she said. "You're allowed to be a customer." "It won't be the same," he said. "It will just be a McDonald's." She looked at him. "It was always just a McDonald's," she said. "No, it wasn't." He looked at the table. He looked at her. It was the place where a woman in a silk blouse walked in and handed a counter employee a black card and asked him what he recommended, like his opinion was worth having. He adjusted the cap, the last time he would wear it, she realized. And he decided to bring her dipping sauce she didn't ask for, and she came back on Thursday. She looked at him. The McDonald's around them was doing its last Tuesday thing. The nugget disagreement table, she noted, had been replaced by a couple sharing a large fries in the specific way of people who have been together long enough to share large fries without negotiating. "Hyun-woo," she said. "Yes, I'm coming to your first recital," she said. "When you have one, I'm going to be in the front row." "There are no front rows in a practice recital," he said. "Then I'll stand at the front," she said. He looked at her with the expression that was not managed at all anymore, warm and specific and entirely certain. "Hyun-woo," he said, the whole name, the right syllables. "Yes," she said. "Crown fits the wealthy," he said. "You say that every time," she said. "It keeps being true," he said. He reached across the table and took her hand, which was something they had been doing for 2 months now, in the easy, unremarked way of people who have stopped thinking about whether to do it and simply do it. "I'm going to write you a song," he said. "You haven't even started the program yet," she said. "I know. I'll write it in the second semester when I know enough to make it good. I want it to be good." She looked at him. "What will it be about?" she said. "French fries, obviously." She laughed, the full, real version, in the McDonald's on the last Tuesday while the Seoul afternoon moved outside the window and the soft serve machine hummed in the background, and the couple at the next table shared their large fries without negotiating. "Obviously," she said. He smiled, the one that arrived suddenly and without announcement, and stayed. Outside, Seoul was doing what Seoul always did. Dense and luminous and entirely indifferent to the small, significant things happening inside its restaurants and apartments and concert halls and market stalls. Somewhere a flower stall was open. Somewhere a cheap guitar had been replaced by a better one. Somewhere a grant notification was saved in an email folder, and a personal statement had a third paragraph that 2 people had argued about for 45 minutes and made better together. Inside, 2 people sat at a table with the last large fries and the soft serve and their hands together across the plastic surface. And it was not a penthouse, and it was not a boardroom, and it was not anywhere that the name Okonkwo had ever been particularly significant.
It was a McDonald's in Hongdae. It was exactly right. The end. If this story sat with you, leave a comment telling me which moment got you. Was it the freesias, the third paragraph, the last large fries? Subscribe so you're there for the next one, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that the right person finds you wherever you are, even if wherever you are is a Tuesday at a McDonald's counter with a cap that doesn't fit your hair.